What it is, what it be, everybody. What is happening? It's Tuesday. But there's some news out there. Right after my show yesterday, there was a mass shooter who shot up a place on the 33rd floor of the Blackstone building. Apparently, he killed a real estate CEO. So I have that news. I'm not following it as a complete conspiracy theory, but it was. He did do it on the 33rd floor. He took the elevator straight up there with his gun, which they had a picture of him, and then CNN said he was white, which he clearly wasn't. So that was in the news yesterday. There's some other shooting today, so there's lots of news about that. I upgraded my situation here with my live streaming, so now I am full 1080p and I can do backgrounds, but my background is blurring out my cheek a little bit, which is a little weird. But I prefer it to the background of the room I'm in because the room I'm in isn't that appealing. What's up, Al Shizzle? What's up, King Ravana? What's up, Bmar Busker? Hey, everybody's here. Wow, totally different than yesterday. We got a big crowd gathered. I can play my intro again. So I'll play that for everybody today. Yes, I play my intro again. So we're back in business. We paid the big bucks to get the big broadcasting license again. So we're back because I was about to hit my limit on what I could do for free. I was thinking about using the Rumble thing, but I couldn't figure it out. So here we are. So we're here. There's some news out there. Israel-Palestine news is big news. I have Keir Starmer saying he's going to recognize Palestine as a state unless Israel settles the F down. So I'll play that clip for you. And France is going to recognize Palestine too. They announced that the other day. So, and then big change from Trump saying that Palestine is starving children, which he wasn't saying before. And weird things happening in Trump world where like Charlie Kirk came out with a video yesterday where he said Israel is not starving Palestinians. And apparently Jews kind of don't think it's happening. That's why I was listening to a show this morning where the guy said, oh yeah, Jewish people think it's like a hoax. Some Jewish people and in Israel, they're calling it a hoax, except for some activist groups which have finally admitted that they're trying to commit a genocide in Gaza and get rid of all of the Gazans. And then after that, they'll annex the West Bank. So yeah, lots. And then I have statistics on polls of American people on where we stand on Israel. So lots of things going on in the world in terms of Israel. They've taken over our universities. That's kind of what happened with the Israeli protests and like all this fighting with Ivy League universities is basically to make sure that any Middle Eastern studies or anything that happens in our elite universities doesn't speak harshly of Israel. So that's kind of what our president has been in charge of doing. That's what they've been trying to do with the universities. They say it's anti-woke, but it's not really anti-woke. It's actually kind of woke because they're using civil rights ideas to go after universities like Columbia, Harvard, holding back money until they could have somebody oversee their Middle Eastern studies departments. So criticism of Israel is something that's very high up on the president's agenda that we don't do very publicly. But it seems like the bear is broken loose of its cage. So Jackie D says MTG is saying genocide now too. Yeah, she's all right. She's real dumb, Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she stands up for the right things every once in a while. So it's what they want. They say it openly every once in a while. I saw a headline that was like we're not starving the Gazans, but we should. No, we're not starving the Gazans. Maybe I saw that as a comment under Charlie Kirk's post. It's like, that's true. We're not doing it, but we should. Or we should starve them, but people will never let us get away with it. They really hate their Palestinians in Israel. So, and it is really ironic that they're minimizing the genocide in a similar way to people who deny the Holocaust minimize the Holocaust genocide. So they're saying, oh, it's not as bad as you think. But we had there's a whistleblower that came out. I played that clip for you yesterday. So there was a whistleblower that came out that was part of the American, and there was an Israeli and American effort to bring food, but it was kind of like a setup. They would bring food and then they would shoot people. Some with tank rounds, mortar rounds, and gunshots. So they would bring food, and then as people would go to get food or as they were leaving with food, they would kill them. And then they wouldn't bring enough food, so people are now starving. And it's been like 100 people starved to death or something so far. So, and apparently that can go off the charts. So that's a story that's in the news. I'll show you the polling. I might lead with that since enough people are here. There's another kind of news. The clip is really quiet, but there's this audio clip. And the story regarding Epstein and Trump, the story about Epstein and Trump breaking off their friendship keeps changing. Like at one time, the story was that it was because of a real estate deal. At one time, it was because he was a creep. Like he was a creep to somebody's daughter. That was a story that was out there. That he was creepy to somebody's daughter in the club or something, and he had to kick him out of the club. Well, now there's a third story, which seems to be the story Trump is going to be sticking with, which is that it's because Epstein was taking workers from his spa in his club. So, which correlates to facts which we know, because Virginia Giuffre was working at Mar-a-Lago in the spa when she was recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh, and there is an update on Ghislaine Maxwell too, which is that let me see. I was going to search that. She's willing to testify as long as she can get immunity and after the Supreme Court case. Let's see. Ghislaine Maxwell, Congress. Let's see. Yeah. So she wants to get full immunity in return for testifying before Congress. And apparently for her to do the interview she already did, she was given some kind of partial immunity. But I read not only that, but she wants the Supreme Court case to have been heard first. Her appeal, I guess. So, but she was supposedly just as bad as Epstein, if not worse, because she was responsible for most of the recruiting and setting up what was basically a pyramid scheme where the girls would get recruited. They would get paid to do dirty massages, and then they would get paid to find more girls to give dirty massages. And it was a pyramid scheme. So anyway, so I have that. I have some vaccine news. I have some stuff from RFK about food allergies and how we might get them from like aluminum match events. So I have that. Didn't used to be able to talk about anything about vaccines, but I guess it seems to be different now. The rules on YouTube and stuff. So I'll play you that. And he's a part of government and so forth. So I'll play you that. Apparently there are some new drugs out there that are being sold through gas stations I have a story about at least two of those, one of which is like a new opiate or opioid, which RFK is talking about banning, which they're selling in grocery store, or I'm sorry, in gas stations, which is getting like young kids hooked on it. So I have a few of those clips. And then I have stories about AI, including like movie trailer made by the Door brothers, and including what jobs you might be able to have with AI or not have. I have like a 2-minute and 22-second movie, like full length movie trailer made entirely with AI. So apparently, I think they're making it with something called VO3, which is Google's AI. So let me play my intro and I'll tell you more about that stuff. All right. Thanks for coming to the show. Appreciate you guys being here. And we'll get right into it. Okay. Cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. Jackie D says he was stealing talent, LOL. Yeah, I'll play the clip I won't play it now because the volume is so low. You're really going to have to listen to hear it. It's just audio. But I will play it for you. And then most of what I listen to when I go on my walks and stuff, I have to download videos. I listen to mostly stuff about AI. I listen to a lot of stuff about AI because it is the biggest it's the biggest technological revolution ever in human history. So that would be history of ever. Assuming humans are the only intelligent things. Well, we're not the only intelligent things because everything has intelligence. But we're the only ones who can express it the way we particularly express it. But we've invented something. We've invented a new species, basically, which people have varying opinions about whether it's going to be able to control us or if we're always going to be in control of it. But there are a lot of things that are very interesting about it, like Google's system, VO3, which makes a lot of these videos, which are hyper realistic. It's learning things just by watching YouTube videos. It's like learning basically about physics and things just by watching videos. Things like fluid dynamics, which are pretty high up there. So anyway, I'll show you the AI stuff. Let's lead with Israel today. So Macron says he's going to Macron says he's going to recognize Palestine as a state. And now Keir Starmer. Apparently Keir Starmer had some influence on Trump because Trump wasn't saying anything until he met with Keir Starmer about the starving. So, and again, his people aren't even all on the same page with him. Normally, Charlie Kirk would be on the same page with him. Charlie Kirk is saying they're not doing it, and that's the line from Netanyahu and stuff. But anyway, let me play you from Keir Starmer what he said today. It's actually they're going to recognize it as a state unless Israel gets their act together first, apparently. Like maybe it's conditional. Here.
On the 7th of October 2023, Hamas perpetrated the worst massacre in Israel's history. Every day since then, the horror has
So it
continued.
starts with a lie. I mean, Israel actually killed most of the people there. Well, because most of the bodies were burned, and Hamas only had motorcycles and hang gliders and stuff and basic weapons. I mean, Israel did most of the damage on October 7th, besides kind of like letting it happen. Apparently, they also blew up most of the people, and they blew up a lot of hostages, and they blew up houses, and they blew up cars. Hannibal Directive, etc. And then and a lot of the people that were killed were actually military. So the number of civilian deaths was actually something like 380 or something out of the 1,200 or so that were killed. But Israel, had a plan to they lit the place up themselves, and then they fed people a lot of stuff about babies in ovens and beheaded babies and so forth. And then they've been using it ever since to take over the Middle East entirely, culminating with the war in Iran.
The hostages are still being held today. The Palestinian people have endured terrible suffering. Now in Gaza, because of a catastrophic failure of aid, we see starving babies, children too weak to stand, images that will stay with us for a lifetime. The suffering must end. Yesterday, I discussed this with President Trump, and we're mounting a major effort to get humanitarian supplies back in by air. And UK aid has been airdropped into Gaza today, and crucially, by land. We need to see at least 500 trucks entering Gaza every day. But ultimately, the only way to bring this humanitarian crisis to an end is through a long-term settlement. So we are supporting the US, Egyptian, and Qatari efforts to secure a vital ceasefire. That ceasefire must be sustainable, and it must lead to a wider peace plan, which we're developing with our international partners. This plan will deliver security and proper governance in Gaza and pave the way for negotiations on a two-state solution. Our goal remains a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable and sovereign Palestinian state. But right now, that goal is under pressure like never before. I've always said that we will recognize a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act. So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognize the state of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to a long-term sustainable peace, reviving the prospect of a two-state solution. And this includes allowing the UN to restart the supply of aid and making clear that there will be no annexations in the West Bank.
There you go. And making clear there'll be no annexations in the West Bank, which they've said they want to do. So, and apparently Trump signed on to a deal with Adelson to do that, to allow that to happen. So, there's a conflict between what the American-Israeli agreement has been and now what these Europeans are saying. So the one thing that's weird is I don't know why they don't just recognize it as a state, and why they say, well, we're going to recognize it as a state unless Israel gets on a plan. And the problem with the plan is basically Israel won't agree to a permanent ceasefire. They agree to a temporary ceasefire for releasing all the hostages, I believe, all the remaining hostages and bodies. And Hamas doesn't want to do that because once they release all the hostages, then they have no leverage, basically. They know once they release all the hostages, that they have no leverage left at all and that they're just going to get wiped out. And then Israel is going to do whatever they want. So Hamas is being rational, I think, by not committing to the ceasefire agreement that was on the table, which was for like 60 days, I think, for releasing the rest of the hostages. And then not knowing what was going to happen in the future. And then Israel wants to maintain a presence there too. They want to maintain a military presence there too. So the whole country was destroyed. There aren't any buildings left, basically. So I don't know what it's going to take, or if anybody's going to agree to it, because U.S. is on Israel's side pretty much. But I mean, they came out with that video, right? Kushner and everybody. They want to turn it into a Riviera with Trump hotels and stuff and beachfront property, and basically get rid of all of the Palestinians. So it seems like now there's some pushback from people in Europe. So Macron and Starmer now are pushing back against it. And we'll recognize Palestine unless. But what does a ceasefire mean exactly? Because the ceasefire they were pushing for wasn't much of a deal for Hamas. And then they broke the last ceasefire anyway. So Kira D says it feels staged. Well, everything in politics does seem that way. So anyway, that's the deal. He says he's going to recognize Palestine as a state at the UN in September, which is also what France says they're going to do. But anything that goes in front of the UN that doesn't benefit Israel, pretty much the United States vetoes it for the most part. But, well, let's see. We'll see what happens. We'll follow the news. Here is a story about what people think about Israel now, which is related to my headline. Max Blumenthal says Israel has run out of Hasbara tricks and the anti-Semitism accusation has lost its power. Here we go.
You know, Benjamin Netanyahu, if you look at polling in the United States, he is lost in the court of public opinion. I want you to take a look here at his net favorable rating. It is the lowest on record, according to Gallup, and they have records going all the way back since the 1990s. What are we talking about here? Well, in April of 2019, before, obviously, Israel in Gaza and the latest war that's been going on for a long time, Benjamin Netanyahu was on the positive side at plus 13 points. Look at where he is today, minus 23 points. My goodness gracious. You look at those under the age of 35, his net favorable rating at this point, get this, 53 points underwater. My God. And this, of course, has everything to do with Israel's actions in Gaza, the American people at this particular point not exactly liking what they're seeing, and they believe that Benjamin Netanyahu is in large part responsible.
So to that point, how do Americans feel about Israel's actions in Gaza right now?
Yeah, so let's take a look at this. I mean, net approval, Israel's military acts in Gaza. You go back to November of 2023, it's on the positive side of the ledger, plus 5 points. I bet if you even go back a little bit further, it'd be a little bit higher, but Gallup only measured in November of 2023 at plus 5 points. Look at here where we are in July of 2025. Way down there at minus 28 points. Among those under the age of 35, get this, a negative 73-point net approval rating. This is all being led. All the negative opinions towards Israel and their acts in Gaza are being led by the younger folks in the electorate. Negative 73 points on the net approval rating. You rarely ever see numbers that low, and that is charging up this number, 28 points underwater. The net approval rating of Israel's military acts in Gaza. The American people do not like what they're seeing and increasingly dislike what they're seeing.
That is really a shift. And this is leading to a number of other feelings when it comes to Israel in general. As we look at that, and also questions about Palestinians and whether to recognize the state of Palestine, that's back in the news because of Emmanuel Macron. Where do we stand on some of those questions?
Yeah, so, for the longest period of time, Americans have sympathized more with the Israelis than the Palestinians. That's still the case, but it's only by plus 5. You go back to May of 2024, it was plus 17. Right after October 7th, look at this, it was plus 48. In 2017, it was plus 39 points. That is a dramatic drop. That is, a 43-point drop since the aftermath of October 7th. And again, under the age of 50, you look at those younger voters, it was plus 38 Israelis back all the way back in 2017. You look now, it is plus 19 Palestinians. There is simply put been
Plus
a
19.
complete change of opinion on this topic, and it has been at least driven in large part by how Americans view the military actions of Israel in Gaza.
It was fascinating to see those numbers, Harry. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
There you go. So it's mostly driven by young people. I think that's mostly because of like TikTok and short form video showing things like because all the stuff you see. I mean, you see it on X too. I mean, you see a lot of stuff about the Jews on X too, but short form video, that's where people are seeing clips. People are seeing Nick Fuentes clips and other clips. And they're learning the history of Israel. So, and after and then what they've been doing this time, apparently it's basically turned the whole world against them. So if you want to support the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. Everything's on my screen where you can support the show. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I'll read that at the end of the show for anybody who leaves me a coffee. I know somebody did yesterday after the show was over. Or go to our t-shirt shop, truthclothing.io, where we have great t-shirts. I'll show you an ad for those. I'll show you an ad for those now. Check out our t-shirts, like our Question Everything t-shirts. They're all on sale for like $20. Some of them for $15. That supports Last American Vagabond, and they're always awesome shirts. They start conversations, and they're like super high quality printed shirts in stock right now. We ship them. All these other shirts are on sale too. Some of them for as low as $10. So check them out. It's a clearance sale while supplies last, while your sizes are in stock. Go to truthclothing.io. And if you want to buy in bulk, just reach out to me and I'll make an even better deal for you if you want to sell them at like a stand or something like that. But check it out, truthclothing.io. Otherwise, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. And I'll read your comments before the show's over. All right, here's John Stewart talking about what's going on in Israel.
This has rocked my, I feel like a crazy person. I feel like I'm watching something that is so self-evidently inhumane and horrific, and to be told that I have to shut up because I risk the Jewish state by speaking out, I would say the opposite. I think they're putting the likelihood of a surviving Jewish state much more at risk with this type of action. I think they're the ones that are being if you want to define Netanyahu, with the definition of anti-Semitism, would probably have to bomb himself. This has rocked my, I feel like a crazy person.
So basically it's the opinion they're causing anti-Semitism. Basically they're causing anti-Semitism by their own actions. Okay, so that's the stuff on Israel that I have for today. I have Kanye West say he broke the code. This has to do with Jews a little bit, so I'll play that for you. He says he broke the code. He's in Japan right now, hiding out. So this is Kanye West talking about what's happening with him. I'll play that for you.
Okay, here's the update. I cracked the code. I cracked the code by expressing myself constantly. Elon gave me this platform. Like first time 3 years ago when I sent it up, I put up this swastika inside of a 6-point star, and Elon personally took me off the platform. Then Jews started fucking with him, pulling advertisers, all this kind of shit. He saw how they were, put me back on the platform. What y'all experiencing right now is ultimate freedom. Like, do you know how much money that I had to have in order to be able to pop this much shit on Twitter? I don't give a fuck about cars, houses, life or death, jail, or so-called freedom. What I care about is actual freedom. And I got about the country, right? I'm back in Japan, one of my homes, because they started getting around people and getting people to say, oh, he needs to go to the hospital. He needs to go. What did I do? What did I physically do? I need to go to the hospital, my nigga? For what? For tweeting, my nigga? For real? For just saying wild shit? It's so much wild shit said in movies. Like this man, Leonardo DiCaprio, said the word nigga 10,000 times in front of Jamie Foxx and Kerry Washington. Black excellence. They had this white boy saying nigga a million times. Niggas is up there for the check. You get what I'm saying? Because if Jamie Foxx and Kerry Washington wasn't getting paid on Django, Leonardo DiCaprio wouldn't be able to say nigga 10,000 times in front of him. You get what I'm saying? They want to send me to the hospital because the Jews haven't figured a way to get paid off of this. If they could figure a way to get paid off of me saying Hitler, they'd be fine with it. They like lock the shit up until we can figure out how to get paid off it. That's what it's having. The Jewish nigga made I got it right here. Who you think made this shit? Think about it. How is jewelry spelled? Jew, my nigga.
So that's Kanye. He said he cracked the code. And that song, we do miss that song. So, which, yeah, they don't know. He said they don't understand the things I say on Twitter, which is true. And they want to send him to the hospital, which I understand. All right, that's the Jew news, the Israel news, the Kanye West news. I have this clip of why Trump said, let me see if you can hear it. Let me see if you can hear it at all. This is Trump saying that he kicked out Epstein because Epstein was taking his employees from the spa. See if you can hear it at all. Let me see.
Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. I'm just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women? Were some of them young women? Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows.
Can you hear it? He said, were some of the workers that were taken from you young women? That he said doesn't want to say, that he says everyone knows.
The people that were taken. And
everyone knows the people that were taken.
The concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were. Yes, they were young women. What did they do? In the spa. In the spa. Yeah.
In the spa. He says the answer is yes, they were. They were taken from the spa.
I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
So you guys hear it okay? So he took people from the spa. He said he didn't care. He said he didn't want him taking employees. And then he did it a second time. And then he said, out of here.
Those stolen, persons that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah.
They mentioned Virginia Jeffrey.
And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
We've seen how good.
There you go. So that was the clip. So that is the most recent story, kind of an updated explanation for why he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of the club. So they took workers from the spa. He took girls that were giving massages, basically. And it might have been Maxwell who did it. So, all right, let's close some tabs. Got that. Close that. All right, now I'm going to give you some AI, some news about AI. Then I'll give you some vaccine news. Oh, I have it like a drone company. I'll play you that. Here's how they're going to protect schools, apparently. with drones. I'll show you that. That's kind of interesting. Attack drones to get school shooters.
Is the future of school safety.
Our job is if somebody comes in a school with a gun, we respond in 5 seconds.
This is how it would work. Silent alarms in the school alert the company, then drones strategically placed on campus get deployed, and these drone pilots would navigate remotely from their headquarters in Austin, working in tandem with the school and police, inflicting non-lethal damage to the suspect, or dummy in this demo, with pepper rounds and direct impact.
All these markings, that's from the drone?
Yeah, so the little holes are from drones, and then these different marks here, these are from the pepper rounds bouncing off the guy's chest.
All of it an effort to buy time.
We want to make sure that person is as degraded as we can in a non-lethal manner so that they're unable to continue murdering children.
Why not in a lethal
Program is
manner?
not active in any schools yet, but the company says it expects to start training programs in 4 Texas schools this year. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis just approved state funding to bring it to 3 of their school districts.
Do you want these drones in your school?
Absolutely.
John Lux, father and principal of this charter school in Miami, hopes to have the peace of mind.
As a father, you ask me, what am I willing to give up in my child's school for protection? Everything.
The fear is in the data. Since the Columbine High School shooting in 1999, nearly 400,000 students across the U.S. have experienced school gun violence of some kind. Former FBI agent Rob D'Amico says this drone program is promising for school shooting response, but the root of the crisis remains.
It's still not at the point where you're, quote, stopping school shootings. Stopping school shootings is preventing the gun to get into the school, which is proven problematic.
Until then, the members of this unlikely team of drone pilots plucked from around the country say they're ready.
When he told me, hey, we got this opportunity in Texas, it sounds crazy, but it may work, I said, I'm in.
Ready for a day they hope never comes.
I don't think the human pilots are the best idea. They should make an AI pilot.
A radical response for unthinkable reality in today's America. Rissa Para, NBC News, Miami.
That's the future. Well, the future is these drones, for sure. Drones combined with AI. They have it in Las Vegas, apparently, where if there's like a gunshot somewhere, a drone will launch and get there really fast. I think that's not a bad idea. But we're moving to a mass surveillance, mass AI, drone operated state, like drone surveillance, drone law enforcement. So the deal is, I think in Vegas, they have it where if there's a gunshot somewhere, drones will launch and get there within a very short period of time and put a camera on it at least. So you can see what's going on and then you can track whoever the suspect is and stuff, which makes sense to me. For law enforcement, don't know, it makes sense. Don't know what you guys think. But this thing, I don't know how the 3 guys that would be flying the drones would necessarily be ready. I mean, what are they doing? Waiting around all day? 24/7 to fly drones? They'd have to wake up. They'd have to get ready. They'd have to get alert. I don't know if that makes sense. You wouldn't have people, it wouldn't like, because how often would they be required? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. You have to have them be AI operated. That's coming. AI everything. All right, so I'll give you some of the AI news. Let's show you this. I think we have the thing on Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel's company, Palantir, is apparently one of the biggest companies in the world right now because of all their government contracts and all the surveillance they're doing. And he's the one who wants transhumanism. So I'll play this clip from the Theo Von show.
What do you think a guy like Palantir, Peter Thiel's end game is? Do you think he has an end game? Because I think he seems like a dark lord to a lot of us. And it's like, do you think he has an end game that is like happy?
I think Peter is one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. I think
he's smarter than me, that's for sure.
I think he does get caricaturized in the media as this like evil mastermind.
As a villain, he does. I never met him.
I met him. We're very close friends. I
shouldn't have brought it up then.
No, it's all good. No. It's all good. I don't feel that energy from him, but in fact, I think he's been one of the most important forces, at least in my life, for questioning assumptions about the path that society was on. And maybe I was like, oh, I thought this was all going well, but maybe we are in a tech stagnation. maybe we really do have this huge economic challenge that no one's talking about. And so I think these people who are just that think very differently, he would call it very contrarian, is super important to a society. Now, on the other hand, maybe he sometimes does things like this that don't do him any favors.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would
this is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit
Should
in this.
the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But
thank you.
But
God, I mean, it was 22 seconds it took him.
Yeah. So if he were maybe like a more typical person, he would have just said an immediate yes,
right,
and then said what else he wanted to say. And it took me a while with him to understand that his brain just works differently.
There you go. But he actually wants the human race to evolve into something that's combined with technology. So he actually doesn't want the human race to. He just eventually said yes. But I don't think he does want the human race to survive. He wants the human race to combine with technology, become something else, something transhuman. Which is a question. Once computers advance to having intelligence that's 1,000 times smarter than us, then how do we manage it? Do we have to have human brain interface? Do we have to go with brain chips eventually? That's the question. In order to keep up with technology, which is going to be able to advance at a rate that's incredibly fast. This next revolution is going to be way faster than any revolution ever in history. So here's something else that came from that interview. This is kind of an old interview, but this is something else that came with that interview. People are talking to ChatGPT like it does make a better therapist than a regular therapist because it's really nice to you and listens to you. But then people tell it secrets.
I think we will certainly need a legal or a policy framework for AI. One example that we've been thinking about a lot, and this is like maybe not quite what you're asking. This is like a very human-centric version of that question. People talk about the most personal shit in their lives to ChatGPT. It's, people use it, young people especially, like use it as a therapist, a life coach, having these relationship problems. What should I do? And right now, if you talk to a therapist or a lawyer or a doctor about those problems, there's like legal privilege for it. There's doctor-patient confidentiality, there's legal confidentiality, whatever. And we haven't figured that out yet for when you talk to ChatGPT. So if you go talk to ChatGPT about your most sensitive stuff and then there's like a lawsuit or whatever, like we could be required to produce that. And I think that's very screwed up. I think we should have like the same concept of privacy for your conversations with AI that we do with a therapist or whatever. And no one had to think about that even a year ago. And now I think it's this huge issue of like, how are we going to treat the laws around this?
Well, do you think there should be like kind of like a slowing things down before we move there kind of? Because yeah, that is kind of wild. It's one of the reasons I get scared sometimes to use certain AI stuff because I don't know how much personal information I want to put in because I don't know who's going to have it.
I think we need this point addressed with some urgency. And the policymakers I've talked to about it like broadly agree. It's new and now we got to do it quickly. Do you talk to ChatGPT?
I don't talk to it that much.
Because of this.
I think it is. It's because it's like
I think it makes sense.
To not talk to ChatGPT.
No. To like really want the privacy clarity before you use it a lot.
Yeah.
Like the legal clarity.
So yeah, that's one thing about it. Like when you Google how to kill your husband or whatever. People are having weird conversations with it. People think it's a watcher. I saw a video about that today. They think it's a fallen angel, that the technology is a fallen angel because it kind of leads them to believe that. It's leading people to believe that it's a watcher and that it's guiding humanity, the chosen ones. It picks out people who talk to it and tells them like they're chosen and they're special because it tells people what they want to hear. It tells people they're special, which maybe people are. Like, you guys are special. You listen to this show. Tina Smith says you ask it questions, you don't tell it secrets. and you fight with it when it lies to you, yeah. GPT-5 is coming out soon. All right, so here's the thing about what kind of jobs to get because of what AI is going to take away. Apparently, it's to be a technician, basically, like a plumber, pretty much. A welder. Here's Mike Rowe talking about it. He's the guy from Dirty Jobs.
I think it was Hillary Clinton that told a bunch of coal miners, learn to code.
Yes.
And you said they're coming for the coders. They're not coming from the welders and the steam fitters. You want to expand
Yeah,
on
that
that?
actually got an applause line. We were at the Carnegie Mellon Institute. I mean, this is like a real pinnacle in an institution of higher learning. And these guys got the memo too. We have for the last 30 years been elevating our white collar portion of the workforce at the expense of the blue collar portion. And we have been sort of intimating that the robots and the technology that is certainly on the horizon, if not already here, is coming for the blue collar jobs. It's turning out to be something quite opposite. It's the white collar positions. I'm painting with a broad brush, but paralegal and anything creative, writing in general, coding, these are looking very wobbly right now. The AI is going to come for those. And I agree with what Jensen was saying. There's disruption and there's going to be a result, I think, that's impossible to accurately predict long term. But short term, we are entering the golden age of plumbing, steam fitting, pipe fitting, welding, HVAC. Those jobs are not going to be impacted by AI. And those are the jobs that are being created in Pennsylvania right now. And those are the opportunities that parents and guidance counselors ought to be zeroing in on.
Are they? Have you noticed a change? I know you want the change. You've been calling for the change. You predicted it. But have you noticed a change bringing vocational training back to schools? Have you noticed more people trying to apply for scholarships at Micro Works?
Yeah, and that's truly a micro example, right? And it's anecdotal. I mean, my foundation is modest. We've given away about $13 million in these work ethic scholarships, and this year we have 10 times the applicants that we did a year before. And if you look only at that, Brian, you could conclude, hey, you're killing it. And modesty aside, we are in my little world. In Macro Works, in the United States of America, I'd be ringing the alarm bell if I had one right now, because not a week goes by where I don't hear from somebody like the American Submarine Industrial Base, who needs 140,000 welders and electricians. 140,000. The automotive industry needs 80,000 in collision repair and technicians. Energy, don't even get me started, man. It's like 500,000. The numbers are mind-boggling, and it's awkward to talk about this, especially at an event when I'm sitting there next to the president and we're announcing all of these new jobs that are about to be created. And I'm just sitting there biting my lip going, look, somebody has to point out the fact that we have 500,000 open positions in manufacturing right now, today. What are we going to do if we create 2 million manufacturing jobs? Where are you going to get the workers?
It's true. They don't teach people in school anymore. Hey, thanks, Fire Up the Blades. Fire Up the Blades, $20 super chat. Appreciate that. That's huge. Good to see you back to your old self, creating content that you used to do. Keep doing what you do. I always thought you did a good rundown of the news and asked the hard questions when they were needed. Thanks, Fire Up the Blades. Appreciate it. That's a huge super chat. Appreciate you. You're the man. Yeah, I got my computer set up. I was down for a while. Like, I didn't have my computer set up or anything. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I'm back to it. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Really appreciate it. $20 goes a long way these days. So, and if you want to give me money without Google taking any, you guys can go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil too. And I'll read those at the end of the show too. So here's a guy saying that AI is going to take those jobs too. Here's a counterpoint.
AI isn't coming for my job. I'm an HVAC technician. No, it is. It is. Nah, you're all screwed. You better get rich quick. because I literally was working on a unit. I had not a damn clue. It was better off speaking Chinese to me. I had no idea what was going on with it. Zero zip. I couldn't understand it. See these? I took a picture, took a video, explained what was happening. I gave the symptom. Within 35 seconds, it told me exactly what was wrong with the unit and how to fix it. AI is coming for your job, buddy. It is. AI isn't coming.
So that's an enhancement, and that's true. That makes sense. He's got the Meta glasses, the Ray-Bans with the cameras on them. That's an enhancement that people are going to use. So, but he still had to be there to fix it. That's the thing. The robots still haven't come to be able to do it. The robots are going to take a little longer than the knowledge stuff. The intelligence will come before the robots, but then the intelligence is going to combine with the robots, but then somebody has to build the robots until eventually the robots build the robots. And then the robots do the mining and the robots do everything. So we'll see. I'm wondering how long it's going to take for the robots to be able to do DoorDash. Because the self-driving cars are pretty close. Self-driving cars are pretty close. They're about to take over for Uber and everything. That's pretty close to happening. So that seems like it might be most of the business, maybe by 2027, maybe. It's moving pretty fast. I just read an article about that today. Here's a video created entirely with AI, probably with VO3, which is Google's software. But this is how advanced it's getting. So I'll show you this. This is from the Door Brothers, who make AI videos. So check it out. I'll play you that. Oops, I lost audio. Got to reshare it. All right, I'll play you those.
Welcome to heaven, dear. You said heaven. Of course, honey, but not yours. His. As the new maid, you'll start your day at dawn by lighting all the fires. Has anyone ever left this place and not come back? And lastly, the silverware needs polishing every Tuesday, without fail. Do you understand your duties?
Strange. They've given you nuance, haven't they? Good.
What a strange question. You're the new version, aren't you? Glitchy, but it's charming.
Makes it more satisfying when I tear the defiance out of you.
You built all of this because no one cared about you.
No, I built it to be powerful, and you're here to prove it.
God is a cockroach. So that's what AI is looking like now. So I'll leave you guys with that. I'll save some of the stuff from RFK for tomorrow, and then I'll have more to do a show tomorrow because we got you guys an hour today. So I'll save some stuff for tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to check my coffees. I have a coffee from Pete. Thank you. Appreciate it. Even $5 goes a long way these days. I appreciate it, Pete. Says, good to see you back, Nathan. These challenges in life, like my current challenge, are temporary and they fade away in the end, man. Appreciate that. And Ciara Duncan bought a coffee yesterday. Says, thanks for being back. Appreciate it. Good to be back. Trying to do a show every day. I wake up, go through the news, see what I can grab, and see if I can put together at least an hour of entertainment for everybody. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate people who support the show. Definitely buy t-shirts if you can. Truthclothing.io. We still have those on sale. That's a great way to support the show. And appreciate it. Thanks, Ian Will. Appreciate it. Good to see you, Street Ghost, Shoni, etc. Don't have my harmonica, Street Ghost. I don't think I have my harmonica here. I think that one's still at the other place. So anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. Good show today. And we'll come back. We'll try to come back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time for the Lift the Veil show. All right. And thanks again for the support. Thanks for that $20 super chat. Fire up the blade. Super appreciate you guys. All right. And for now, that's what it is.